Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction and recovery. Join your hosts,
the Podfather, Jersey Ed,
Miss Meg,
as they break the silence and speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
And I'm
Jersey here with
Ed. Jersey Ed.
Jersey Ed.
I'm so thrown off without being in the quarantine garage studio.
Listen, you can drive up here. You know, we have plenty of room.
We got a bubble for you. We got a bubble.
A big bubble.
Yep. A bubble. That's great.
Built up a big plastic bubble for you, buddy.
I know, but they won't let me out my driveway. They won't. It's blocked. They have the.
Oh yeah, they got the cops out there.
Yeah, the cops are watching me.
Yeah. Well, you are a problem.
The only thing I'm allowed to do is go to Zoom meetings.
You are a problem in that town.
You're missing.
I am.
You're missing a beautiful day up here in Beverly, Massachusetts.
Great. Well, beautiful. It's any day is beautiful in Beverly, Massachusetts because
absolutely
Sweets lives there.
Sweet Studio. That's right.
I keep my town very nice.
That's right.
I run a tight ship up here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sweets and I are talking about going to the beach later. It's not too far away, and he's going to wear his what's that? A one suit?
It's a unitard. It's a wrestling outfit. Yeah.
Oh my God!
It leaves a hell of a tan line. I'll tell you that.
It says "drink milk" on the front.
Real quick, guys, I want to just tell you who our guest is. Our guest today is Ashley C. She is an alumni from Genesis House, and
nice.
We're doing our Alumni Giving Back series today with Ashley, and we'll bring her on in a couple minutes. You guys have to just get through our nonsense stuff here, and then we'll bring somebody in recovery on.
They have to listen to our childish banter.
That's right. You're forced until the guest gets here. Usually guest saves us.
So how long are you quarantined for, Ed, in Jersey?
Jersey Ed in Pennsylvania, you mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Pennsylvania Ed. How long are you quarantined for?
Philly Ed.
Tomorrow, I think all the restrictions are lifted. Not all, but phase 2. See, we're so close to Philly that like probably most of the state is into like phase whatever. But because we're so close, our county's so close to Philly that they're taking little precautions. If there was no traffic, it takes me literally 25 minutes to get to Philly from here. So
I guess it depends on what state you're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they're like hugging on the beach in Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it depends on what state you're in as to what phase of opening they're at.
Up here in Massachusetts, we're still wearing, hazmat suits for crazy.
That's right.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Well, I think some of the cities, I saw some of the cities had, they actually painted like arrows on the sidewalks, one-way arrows.
Are you kidding me?
No, not even joking. No. Yeah, one-way arrows to, keep people focused so that they're not like walking toward each other. It's interesting.
Wow. I found that this, like you always said, Suchi, I want to come out better than when I came in. And right. I'll be honest with you. I like these Zoom meetings. We do Zoom meetings. Genesis House does Zoom meetings every day, 2 times a day, noon and 7 p.m. Okay. And if you want to know about them, call us at 617-379-1163 or email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, or any of our social media will tell you about it. But I really like the Zoom meetings, and I'll tell you what, if you guys remember back in November, we did a Zoom AA meeting. Do you guys remember that?
We were cool before it was cool.
Yeah, I know. I was just watching that episode the other day. I'm like, shit, man, we had this down before anybody else did.
We were getting ready. We knew about the.
We had the OG Zoom meeting, right?
That's it. We did absolutely. So,
you guys
are doing okay up there? Everybody's good, and after a week of not seeing you, well,
lots of beautiful air, cigars. It's actually nice up here. There's a lot of room in here without Ed.
I can spread out.
Right. Podfather looks nice and relaxed. You know what I mean? Right. I'm up on the balcony. The place looks empty. Normally there's Ed's shit all over the floor.
Yeah, we're feeding the seagulls.
Right.
Feeding, that's it. And all my people that are come in, they fill up the studio with all my
your
handlers.
fan club. Yeah.
Fan club.
Yeah.
Philly Ed's fan club.
Yep.
Yeah. Changing your name, dude.
Right.
Is there going to be a big stamp up there that's going to come up?
When you come up here, you're Jersey Ed. You want to hang around down there in
Philly Ed.
the garage in Pennsylvania. Philly Ed.
Is that how it's going to be?
That's it. I'm gonna put that on your name right down the bottom of the screen.
Philly Ed.
No more Jersey Ed. It's Philly Ed. Phil, you come up here.
I'm sitting in your producer chair, by the way.
Yes.
The one with your name on it.
That's right.
All right. Good.
J.E.
Good.
Just
well,
Ed.
Well, if you guys are done busting on me, I like to bring the guest on and get real on this show, if you guys don't mind. So
do some alumni stuff.
Alumni stuff.
Does Ashley know she's?
I got to pull her bio up here. So go ahead.
Okay.
Does she know she's in good company? That all of us are recovering, and
I imagine Ed's gonna make sure she knows.
Let her know.
Right?
Yep. She's with friends. We're all recovering.
I think she knows.
So you want to break down the story here for us, Ed?
Yes. Ashley C is a grateful recovering addict. Got clean at Genesis House 2 years ago. Ashley is 33 years old. And she's from New Jersey. There you go. Jersey's good. She's a registered nurse and a mom of a 9-month-old, and she's also raising her 2 nieces, ages 7 and 5. And welcome to the show, Ashley.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing it. So, Ashley, I met you. I formally met you, not Genesis House, but on one of our Zoom meetings, and we hold meetings for a lot of the nurses here in New Jersey, and Ashley just happened to go on it, and my wife seen you one day, and she said, I think I put her in treatment, and sure enough, one thing led to another, and here you are, and we love doing these shows called the Alumni Giving Back, and it's great to hear your story, as because you're on the meetings almost every day. And you know that when the newcomers come on, especially when they come out at Genesis House, they want to hear, especially people from Genesis House, and kind of their story, because it gives them hope. They're out of Genesis House now, and wow, actually 2 years, that's really cool, and it's great. So tell us a little bit tell us why you ended up in Genesis House.
All right. Well, let's see. I started. So I'm a nurse. I hurt my back at work. So it all started with prescription pain meds. And it kind of took off from there. I was getting scripts from different doctors for my back. And that progressed. Once I wasn't getting scripts anymore, I started to divert meds at work. And it went on for quite some time. I became really good at it. I thought I was invincible, that nothing would, I would never get caught. I want to say about 2.5, 3 years, I did that. And it progressed from, it was helping my pain, treating my pain. I also have fibromyalgia, but it also began to help with emotional trauma. It kind of started to numb my emotional pain. I was going through a lot of stuff at that time. I was, at the height of it, I was in a relationship. I was engaged, and that relationship ended up not working out. My ex-fiance, he cheated on me with a woman that was twice his age, and we had a house together. We were planning a wedding, so I lost my house. The house that we purchased together. I lost lots of money. I lost my nieces, who I had custody of, because he had a bad rap sheet, which I later found out. So DIFUS couldn't place the kids with me. So a lot of that was unresolved, and once that relationship ended, that was where my addiction took off, and it got progressively worse. I had a surgery about 2 years ago, before I went to Genesis House, the summer before, and I had a hernia repair, and I was prescribed pain meds, and I ran out, And my sister, who's an addict, I called her up and I said, do you know anyone that I can get painkillers from? And she's like, yeah, sure. Because, she knows everybody. And we took a ride one day. She said, yeah, we're going to go pick up some Percocet. And I said, okay, fine. She comes back to the car with heroin. And I kind of was in like this spot where I was desperate. So that's when that began. I started doing heroin on top of diverting meds. And it got bad quick. And then at work, my rock bottom was they suspected that I was stealing medication. I can't remember the exact situation, but I worked in critical care, and I was taking fentanyl out of the Pyxis on a patient that we were intubating. And I think I pulled it on the wrong patient because I was overriding meds. It was just very sloppy at the end, because all I cared about was getting high. And they the pharmacy had suspected that I was diverting, and they called me in questioning. They didn't have any proof, but they basically knew. So that was my rock bottom, and that's when I decided, you know what, I need to get help. I need to go to treatment. And my fiance actually works in this field in treatment, and he helped me get into Genesis House. So then I ended up in Genesis House.
That's how you get.
Wow.
That's how
Amazing
everybody
story.
ends up in Genesis House.
Nice hearing your story, Ashley. Amazing, so forthright and truthful, and I think the thing about addiction, people don't realize, the average person on the street that doesn't deal with addiction, and I don't know if there's a lot of those people out there, because everyone I know is either in recovery or wants recovery or looking for somewhere to get in recovery. I'm a therapist. I'm a retired cop, and I'm a therapist. And I've sent a lot of people to Genesis, friends, loved ones. And I can't speak highly enough about the place. But listening to you, I had a male nurse who was, his story is identical to yours, relationship, everything, and diverting meds. And he's been sober about 11 years now. But I remember when he first come to see me, how scary that was, like for him, and wondering if he was going to lose his job and such. But you're still a nurse, I hope. You're still practicing and things are good.
I joined the RAM program for nurses, so I was able to keep my license, thank God.
Yes.
And I have to follow all their requirements and random testing for 5 years. So I do have my license.
Good for you.
God willingly.
Good nurses are hard to find. And you must have a tough job right now with everything that's going on.
Yeah, I'm actually, so I work in a surgery center now. I left critical care, and I'm actually out of work right now because the surgery center, closed down with the COVID, and they just started opening and doing cases now. So I'm not sure when they'll call me back, but it's probably going to be, within the month or two.
And you have a new child, a 9-month-old? Is that what you said?
Yep.
That's awesome. Boy or girl?
Yeah, his name is Carmen.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. You must be so excited. What a great age. My nephew just had a baby. He's 3 weeks old, but a friend of mine has a 9-month-old. It's just, I see the pictures every night. I just love looking. It's great. Wonderful.
I know. She's on the meeting every day. She's about my daughter's age, and my daughter has a 1-year-old, and every time I see her, I'm like, I gotta call my daughter. So almost every day I'm on the phone calling my daughter after I see Ashley and the baby, and she always brings a baby on. Everybody smiles, and it's just so good to see that somebody who, where you were 2 years ago, is thriving, has this beautiful baby, this beautiful life, everything's going on and everything's good for you. It's just amazing that we get to see that. I think that's the other part of it, that I know where you were. We all knew where we were, but we know, I kind of knew where you were. And, it's just amazing. Now you're doing this. You're like taking care of your baby. You're taking care of your house. You're taking care of everybody. It's just amazing. Yeah. Before we couldn't even take care of ourselves, when we work in this program. So, I do want to talk to you about, you had a pretty interesting life before the drugs and alcohol, because I heard your story on the Friends in Recovery and Genesis House meetings, and you were a bodybuilder, and your dad and you were bodybuilders, right? Is that correct?
Well, my father was a bodybuilder. He actually passed away at 36 years old. He had a massive heart attack.
Oh my God.
But when I graduated nursing school, that was kind of like my outlet. I started getting into bodybuilding. And when I met my ex-fiance, who I'm with now, we kind of got into it heavy, and we did some shows together. We actually did one in Boston, Massachusetts, was our first show together.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we should have had you come up to the studio then, Boston. So was that was pre-recovery, or is that after Genesis House?
Both. I did that before. I did that during using. I was using while I was on stage prepping for shows. I was very highly functioning when I was using, which is surprising. Even like working in critical care, no one knew anything. No one had a clue. But yeah, I was working out hardcore and prepping for shows, competing, all while using and after.
Wow. I mean, just I've been to a few shows, not to compete, but I knew Ed would really bust my balls on that one. But as a cop, I've worked a few shows, and I know I've had friends that have done this. I had a friend that was Mr. Massachusetts. He's 6'4", and he's a nurse. He's a male nurse, and his name is Jimmy Layoff. He wouldn't mind me saying his name. He's an older guy now. He's my age, but he amazing. I mean, just what you have to do to even compete. So that must have been quite a juggling act you were pulling off there, Ashley Nicole.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I wonder if that exacerbated the desire to use, because you go hungry, and you know what they say, when you're tired, hungry, want to use. So here I am working nights, sleep deprived, I'm starving, I can't have any sweets. And so that was the height of my using. I was, using opiates to get me through and make me feel better.
Right. So convenient. I love what you said about the psychological part. See, a lot of people don't understand the addiction. The physical. Back in the 80s, when I was a street cop, I'd meet a lot of young girls on the street. They were trying to make enough money just to get through the night. And I was always trying to get them into treatment. I got sober in 86, and I used to drive the police wagon. So when I'd pick up somebody for street walking or for offering sex for money, I would try to get them into a detox. I would talk to them. And of course, I'm a cop in uniform, and they're looking at me like I'm soft. But I always just felt that was just a tough existence, But I don't think people looked at the psychological comfort you get from opioids, because I mean, it's not just the physical; it's definitely the psychological. And boy, who doesn't want to feel psychologically better? I mean, when you have a lot going on.
Yep. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break here. Ashley, we're going to find out who your therapist was at Genesis House, what you thought about Genesis House, and I think it's all good. I hope it is. If not, we'll just cut that part out, and and we'll be right back after these messages. Go ahead, Podfather.
The Podfather, Jersey Ed, and Ashley Nicole, Friends of Recovery podcast. We'll be right back.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery. Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, Genesis House, for supporting this show, along with individuals in recovery and the people that love them. Friends in Recovery Community of Support holds events across the country sponsored by Genesis House in Palm Springs, Florida, Marlton, New Jersey, Newtown, Connecticut, and Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. The Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast is powered by your likes, follows, subscribes, and shares. And please be sure to do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. And now here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, Friends in Recovery podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, back here with Jersey Ed.
Hey, everybody. Jersey Ed here in the quarantine studios in the garage of Langhorne, Pennsylvania. So.
Give us a heavy sigh. There you go. Thank you.
No, I love it here. It's okay. I got my own little thing. I got an air conditioner now because it's hot in here. My neighbor bought me over an air conditioner for my garage. I mean, life is good. I have his chair, but
He'll be our next guest.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. So, anyways, Ashley from Genesis House, not from Genesis House, but she's on with us. But I'm gonna do. You know what time it is, guys? You know what time it is?
Yeah, it's Jersey Ed's podcast pick of the week.
That's right. Sweets, what do I get for that?
I mean, I could give you a drum roll.
There you go.
I could give you some comedy horns.
I like that.
Well, let's just stick with that.
Comedy horns and drum rolls. I like that. Okay, keep it going.
All right.
All right. So Jersey Ed podcast pick of the week is Sober Speak. There's no hosts at this one. It's just this is a podcast that shares experiences, strengths, and hopes centered around the AA 12 steps of recovery. Come along for the ride. You can find Sober Speak podcast anywhere you get podcasts from, and they're on their website, soberspeak.com. Basically, it's just recorded speakers throughout the country and throughout the world that share their stories. It's really good. So if you need a meeting and you can't get to Genesis House, noontime meeting or 7 p.m. meeting daily, you can get to Sober Speak and you can listen to a meeting. They're pretty good. They're just recorded meetings, and they got some really fantastic speakers on there. So welcome back, Ashley. And thank you for being a guest here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Before the break, we were talking about how you got to Genesis House. I want to know what happened. Not what happened at Genesis House, but tell us a little what your thoughts were about treatment, and was that the first treatment that you ever went through, right? And so on and so forth. Maybe give a shout out to your therapist, because everybody loves to hear their therapist being mentioned on this show, especially on the Alumni Giving Back series. So.
Yeah, so I can't say enough about Genesis House. I love Genesis House. My therapist was Natasha, who's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Love her. It was rough getting there, and I still was in denial when I got there. I lied about what I was using. I lied saying that I was just snorting heroin. It took me a little while to come around and really fully surrender and acknowledge I needed help and have a bad problem. And after a few days, I just surrendered and told her everything that I was doing, and it went a lot better after that. She's just amazing. Working with her and how much she helped me through. I mean, and it was my first time in treatment. So it was scary for me. I left everything behind that I knew. I cried. I didn't want to go, but I knew deep down inside that I needed to go. And it was very healing. There was another nurse that came in when I was there. She was just so lost. She cried and cried. She couldn't settle down, and she got placed in my room. We were roommates together, so I got her through it, and
cool.
That's what helps me, is helping others, and we're still friends to this day. Wow. And I got her through it. I helped her because there's a rigorous schedule of all the meeting, like what you have to do to get you into a routine, and she just couldn't get it down. She was just because your mind's all over the place, like when you're using and you're drinking, you don't have feelings anymore. So you go back to reality, and you have to learn how to deal with life. Mm-hmm. And then being in a different environment with no one, it was nice to have another nurse to relate to and to be a roommate with and get her through it. So I had a really great experience, and I recommend Genesis House to everybody.
So nice having you, Ashley. I've sent quite a few people to Genesis House over the years, last 10 years, 12 years. and it's very successful rate of recovery. I tell clients that all the time. I'm up in Massachusetts. We have plenty of places up here, but I just think the staff down there, everyone I've ever spoken to, we're very fortunate. And I don't just say this because they sponsor the show. I know firsthand. I just sent a friend of mine, son, down there 2 weeks ago, and he's doing well. But I know firsthand what a treatment facility is like. I spent 30 days in one back in the 80s, but it's really nice hearing you talk like that. Hey, Ashley, what are you doing now for recovery? You seem and sound and look so healthy. What is your routine now? Tell somebody who might be struggling themselves and afraid to go away, but once you get out, what's your routine like now? I mean, you have a baby. You must be busy as hell.
Yeah, I'm really busy.
Ashley, and real quick, Ashley, also, can you give the Podfather your skincare routine? Because him and Sweet are very into skincare, and your face is amazing. So
yes.
I don't even have anything on. But anyways, I stay connected. What helps me is helping others. Anyone that I could reach out to, and I made a lot of friends with through the Zoom meetings, which I love the Zoom meetings through Genesis House. I made a lot of friends that are also nurses, and my faith is my rock. I stay connected. I religiously, I live stream with my church, which is out in Georgia. My pastor, he's gotten me through the hardest times of my life, and I wouldn't be here today without my faith. So that's something like I need to hold on to, and that's what keeps me clean. My family is what keeps me clean. I want to do the best that I can for them, and that they keep me going. My nieces, who I adopted right after I got out of treatment, everything I do it for them, and I need them. I need them to keep me clean.
How old are the nieces?
I don't think about it. They're 7 and 5.
Oh, wow. You got a house full, kiddo. Wow. You're an amazing woman.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I got 2 big pit bulls and, the kids and homeschooling, and it's a lot, but I stay busy, and I stay connected. I have a sponsor who's amazing. I met her right when I got out of recovery, and she's very spiritual as well. And we click, and, I talk to her all the time, and we send each other motivational things and quotes and, inspirational stuff. And that's what keeps me going.
Talk how important sponsorship is in recovery. What it does for you and how it got to you, how it helps you move further in your life, if you don't mind.
Right. Yeah. My sponsor, she's amazing. I think that I truly believe God puts the right people in your life. I was looking for a sponsor, and I met her through one of my friends that I met in the rooms. And her name is Suzette, and she's amazing. She's just gotten me through a lot, and I think it's the spiritual aspect, because that's what bonds us together. And I think it really is important to find a sponsor that you can relate to, that you have things in common, not like just a stranger, somebody you feel comfortable with, that you can just tell anything to. Like, I think that's so important, to be able to unwind to them, because that's the purpose. They're helping you get through your difficulties, and giving you skills and coping skills to get through it.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of meetings, Ashley?
Again, you have something?
I'm sorry. Do you do a lot of meetings, Ashley? Do you do several meetings a week, 2 or 3, 4 or 5?
At least minimum 3.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot out of the meetings, and I'm sure they get a lot out of you.
Podfather, she is always on her. I have to disagree with that, because I see her on at least 5 days a week with us. And if she has a baby and the baby's acting up, she'll have a blank screen, but she'll always listen. And when you don't think she's listening, the baby's running around, whatever, she comes on and she starts sharing. Just incredible. I mean, you could tell, Ashley, that you work a really rigorous program, that this is a part of your life. It's not just, okay, well, I have to go to a fucking meeting now, or you have to go on just to show face or whatever. Now, are you mandated to the meetings?
I am. Yes, okay. I have to go to at least 3 a week. So that's my minimum. But I wanted to say too, I really enjoy doing Celebrate Recovery, because that's faith-based as well. So I have meetings that I attend with that, and that just like I said, it's so important to find your niche, like what helps you the most. Mine is my higher power. It's God. It's my faith. And I do meetings. Like focus around that. I have a lot of friends focused around that, and that's what helps me the most. So, that's what's important.
Good.
Well, certainly is. What a great guest. One thing about Ed, he always gets great guests. I mean, I'm not just saying this. You're amazing. This is wonderful. I'm with addicts every day, alcoholics every day, and I don't know. You got a good story, and you're doing so well. It's heartwarming, really.
Yeah. Ashley, I'm going to ask you to do something that we normally don't do here, and I think I'm going to start asking our alumni to do this. What do you want to say to Natasha that helped you out? Because they watch this down there, and what do you want to say to Natasha and
Hi, Natasha. I love you and miss you. I'm actually coming to Florida. We're booking our flight today. We're coming down in 2 weeks, so I'm gonna pay a visit to Genesis' house, and I'll call her and let her know. But she's amazing, and she really got me through like one of the hardest times of my life. And just thank you so much for everything. And she had my fiance come down. We did like a therapy session. We worked through a lot of our issues, and that was really nice for her to take time out and do that as well. She really focuses on your issues at hand, and just gets you through it. So thank you.
Yeah. We have wonderful staff down there. I'm not just saying that because I work there. I personally had a few of my kids, as well as the Podfather. We personally had our own children go through Genesis house, and we understand exactly what you're saying, not from being there, but definitely from the outside looking in. And
everyone's amazing there. Yeah, everybody. I love Arlene. She knows I talk to Arlene like all the time. I'm friends with her on social media. She's always commenting on the baby stuff. She's amazing. She would do my intake, and she's just such a wonderful, wonderful woman.
Yeah, good. Well, Ashley, keep up the great work. I love seeing you on those meetings. Make sure that baby's there, and everybody loves it. And thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on with us today. And just keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, you, Ashley. Matt. Nicole, you did a great job. Great guest.
Yeah. So, Podfather, you keep patting me on the back with all these good guests, but listen, it's just these people are just wonderful people that I talk to, that I feel that we need them on the show, that you would relate to, Sweets would relate to, and of course our guests listening. I mean, our people watching this and listening.
Eddie, in really early recovery, I got out of treatment. I was still a cop. I'd only been on 5 years, and I had to go walk a beat and see people, and but I was going to meetings, and the meetings I didn't want to travel far. I went to local meetings. I didn't give a shit what people thought. I mean. And I'm glad I did, because 30-something years later, these people are older people. A lot of people didn't make it, but there are a lot that are still sober. I know for a fact that recovery, especially if you're in a profession like a cop or a nurse or a firefighter or a correctional officer, you interact with the public. That's a calling in and of itself. That's a job that you have to have some type of, empathy and understanding of human nature, and maybe have a decent personality. Ashley, Nicole, unbelievable personality. I can just imagine what an extraordinary nurse she is. But you have a way of finding the right guest for this program, and I don't know, it's good. It's good.
Sweet. So you bodybuild, Sweets, and you're always pumping iron somewhere, and either if it's in your kitchen with milk jugs or down at the park with park benches. What's your thoughts on all this recovery and working out?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to echo some of what Ashley was saying. I mean, I've been working out since first time I went to jail. So, when I went to prison at 19, that's when I started working out. And it's always been, for me, it's been where I kind of regain control of my body and my mind, that I, in recovery, like whenever I was getting sober and stuff, whenever I went back to the gym, I felt like I was in control of myself once again. And so I like it. But I definitely understand what she was saying, because, when you're dieting, when you're mastering your diet and stuff like that, it it stresses you out. I mean, you're in calorie deficits, you're dehydrated, especially when you're doing shows and stuff. I don't do shows, but I know that it can definitely put a lot of stress on you. So in early recovery, I would say professional bodybuilding is probably not the smart move. But as a long-term goal, I know it is about mastering your body and getting control of your diet and stuff like that, which is, physical health is directly tied to mental health. So
sure, mind, body, soul, I mean, that's on my medallion, my 30-year medallion. I keep it on my keychain because a special person gave it to me, but it's on there, mind, body, soul. And sometimes I really have to, give that some thought, especially when I'm thinking of getting a banana split or,
It's those small choices, right?
Yes.
Like, did you guys ever, there's a, I don't even remember what the commercial was for, but I remember it was something about eating healthy, and they would show like, a person, you got these two choices. You can reach for like a donut in the morning, or you can reach for an apple, right? And it's just the small choices that ultimately define the rest of your day. And like, if you start your day by choosing the apple over the donut, you're more likely to go for a salad than a slice of pizza at lunchtime. And, I always talk about diet and how it relates to our recovery, right? I mean, because it's small choices. There's I think every time you say no to a substance related activity, that's a small win. That's another brick in the wall, so to speak, of getting to a place where you don't need it, you don't want it. It's not part of your daily routine. So I love those small wins.
Well, you know what, I go ahead, Podfather.
No, absolutely. I was just agreeing with sweets.
Oh, okay. But, I think we're just so disconnected from our bodies and our minds and our spirit and our soul that when we find recovery, we're like, oh my God, I'm a human being. I'm this wonderful body. I have this wonderful mind. I have this wonderful spirit inside of me. It's been dead for so long,
right?
And I'm able to build it back up again. And that's what Ashley was talking about. Celebrate Recovery. I've been to a couple of Celebrate Recovery meetings and are wonderful. I think they're so great. That is just such a spiritual. When you walk into one, I don't know if this is the right word, but a spiritual mind fuck when you walk into these Celebrate Recovery things. Everything's coming at you 10 different ways. It's just amazing. And eating healthy, just because of all the crap that we put in our bodies. I lived on buffalo wings and fucking Molson and shots of tequila. That's all I lived on, in my days. Excuse me. But now, oh, sweets, I forgot to tell you real quick that I started my calendar run. Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah.
So day 4 is today. So
what's that, 4 miles?
4 miles today. But I injured myself last week and I keep rubbing my leg, but I'm going to get around it somehow. I'm going to walk. I'm learning different ways to run. I'm going to get around it, guys. And the calendar run, if you haven't heard the show when we were talking about it, is you run the miles of the day. So day 1 is 1 mile and all the way through till 30 miles. And
Ed's going to be hopping on 1 foot come the 10-mile day.
Yeah.
It's going to be funny. Well, you're running with an injury, right?
I am.
Yeah.
So
do you think that's good?
Well, I walked 3 miles today and I ran a little bit and I feel okay. So I'm going to see how far I can push it. When I walk, I'm good. When I take smaller strides and do more heel toe, it just works out a little bit better. But I don't know. I'm going to play it by just like my recovery. Take it a day at a time and see what brings tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
Yep, absolutely.
I love it. I love these alumni episodes.
Yes,
They're good. They bring us back to
what do you got on that?
Bring us back to the heart of why we get together as a Friends in Recovery podcast, is to talk about friends being in recovery and what we did and why it works and why it's a good idea to listen to this podcast, because we have an opportunity for you to hear from people who have struggled like you have, who have fought through things that you're fighting through, and that you're not alone, and that people do get well, and that when you're feeling hopeless and down, you listen to something like this, that hopefully you're inspired to fight through whatever it is that you're going through. Ask for help, go to a meeting, reach out, call, do whatever you got to do, but that there's hope. And I just love that makes me feel good.
Just don't give up. There's no need to, don't give up. You never give up. I heard a guest last week talk about being in jail for 7 years and I worked in a prison. It was the most depressing job I ever had. I tried to make the best of it, but I mean, I was going home every night and it sucked, you know? So you just don't give up. And I've seen people that lived on the streets that get sober, and they're helping other people now. And, you know, it's there. If you want it, it's there.
Yeah, I do have to credit Podfather real quick here. When we decided to do this, he ended up the Podfather ended up telling us the name. He said, "Why don't we call it Friends in Recovery?" And I was like, "Yeah, that is a great name. I mean, Friends in Recovery podcast. I mean." Thanks, Podfather. Thank you very much. You're the one who really inspired all this to get it going. So, you know,
I know that. Thank you.
I know.
Well, on that note, why don't we have the founder of the Friends in Recovery name take us out?
That's right. So listen, it's a great show. Sweets, Nicole. I mean, Ashley, Nicole, and and I'm losing the memory's going. And Jersey Ed. Great show. Thanks for the great guest, Ed, and Friends in Recovery podcast.
Stay sober, everybody.
There you go.
That concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Thanks to Genesis House for supporting those on the path to recovery and for keeping this valuable resource free for our Friends in Recovery community. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the show, email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. If you can't get enough of Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, you can catch them on Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast, available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube.